Hello everybody and welcome to The Point, your weekly show for all things sports, straight out of Pittsburgh in the 412. My name is Riley Taylor and I'm your host. Today we're going to dive right into multiple topics that have heated up in sports in the last week or so. Now first is going to be Dak Prescott and his contract extension with the Cowboys, and is he worth the massive amount of money that he demands for his skill? Next, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is the hype the real deal in Tampa now that Brady is there? Or will mediocrity still rule Florida's top team right now? And finally, the Golden State Warriors, the NBA's worst team this past season, posting an appalling 15-50 record. How can they bounce back, and do they have a legitimate chance of being a competitor in a very tough West in the seasons to come? All that and more coming up on The Point. Dak Prescott contract negotiations have been discussed thoroughly in the past few seasons, especially in regards to if Dak is ultimately worth the money that he is asking for as a quarterback. Now Prescott, the almost 27-year-old quarterback, is heading into his fifth season with the Cowboys, averaging a near 66 completion percentage, nearly 4,000 passing yards a season, an average of 24 touchdowns and 9 interceptions a year, and a QB rating of 97. Now in 2019, Prescott did very well, and he ranks second in passing yards with 4,902 and fourth in touchdowns at 30, while the Cowboys still stumbled to a very disappointing 8-8 season. Here on set with us is one of our specialists, Isaiah Griffith, that you all know, to help us give an insight onto what we think Dak is really worth, and if he is worth what he demands. So what do you really think about this, Isaiah? Is Dak worth more than guys like Garoppolo, Breeze, and Brady?
Well, no. I mean, he's a good quarterback against teams that are below 500, but
which they play a lot of.
They do play a lot of, especially in their division. But like as soon as they start playing teams that are actually good teams, he doesn't do that great, and he wants to get paid like Patrick Mahomes. He's not even a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah,
so
which I very much agree with, because we look at the list of guys that are below him. He ranked, I believe, 6th in the top 10 QB, and just the names under him. Even Phillip Rivers is a guy that isn't amazing, but I would still say is more consistent,
right, but
has kind of dipped compared to Dak Prescott. But I don't know, do you really see him getting the pay in Dallas? Do you see them coughing up the money, or?
Honestly, I would, and I know they just got Andy Dalton. I would honestly take Dak Prescott over Andy Dalton.
Of course.
I think Andy Dalton can be a good backup quarterback, but I don't know. I don't think Dallas is gonna give him exactly what he's asking for. I know he's asking for like almost $40 million a year or something like that. I think they'll probably give in, because they
really have no choice.
They have pretty much have their hands tied behind their back. I think they'll eventually end up giving him like around $30 million a year.
Now, it's definitely something that will be interesting, because I believe he did reject a near $35 million offer.
He did, yeah.
And it's going to be very interesting in the fact, too, because he's going to have the chance to walk potentially and get different offers, because after this season, I mean, they're likely to put the franchise tag here on him, and he's going to get a big pay grade, but he's going to be in the disposal of a lot of money coming up. So now, personally, I think he can produce, if he can produce numbers similar to 2019, he is definitely somebody that's worth some decent cash. I don't know more than Drew Brees. I mean, yeah, he's a young quarterback, but definitely not worth that. And I just think really Dak needs out of Dallas. And next year, I see him getting top dollar in a more consistent organization that's really putting things together. Now, Dallas just isn't where they should be year after year. The only team that they really have to battle with for a playoff spot is the Eagles, and they can hardly do that as is. So even though that Jason Garrett is gone and they have a new coach on the team, it just doesn't really add up for me. So until Dak, we'll see how the season goes. If Dak does very well, we could see him get that money. If it's another, mediocre season for the Dallas Cowboys, which I'm thinking is going to happen, I'm thinking that Dak Prescott walks, and Dallas as a whole is going to be in a very bad situation. And now we're going to swap sides to another NFL team, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team with very high expectations and a lot of hype with the additions of people like Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and many young draft picks. Now, the thing is, the team is still in a division with teams like the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons, who are no easy walkthrough, even though they have not been as successful in the last couple of years. Now, on set with us is Brett Marquardt, one of our other specialists, who's going to give us his opinions on Tom Brady and what Tampa Bay might do in the 2020 season coming up. So, Brett, Brady in Tampa reunited with Gronk, coincidentally. Are they going to be this Super Bowl contending team that people really think is possible? Or is this just going to be hype that falls through?
They're not going to be that super team, but they're totally going to have a chance for the Super Bowl just because they have Gronk and Tom Brady. But their defense needed worked.
Of course, and that was definitely what they struggled with last season. They were still able to get points on offense, and Jameis Winston was obviously their weak point. But you see them as a team that can make the Super. I mean, the Super Bowl was coincidentally in Tampa Bay.
Hey, Tom Brady has done incredible things in the past, and I could see him doing something incredible again.
But he's deteriorated. I mean,
he's
guy's
old. He might not be too good, but he's still going to be really good.
I mean, I guess he is better old than some quarterbacks young. But you're saying, right, you could see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going through teams like the New Orleans Saints, going through teams like Seattle.
It matters how their defense plays, RJ. Their defense is going to be the contributing factor in all this.
Of course. I mean, well, honestly, I just think
their offense is going to be good.
Of course, especially with the young receiving core. And that was something that, granted, Brady wasn't so good last year, but he lacked a really good set of receivers in New England. And now he has that with the added addition of Gronk back. But like we've talked about, Gronk still has potentially his head issues. He might not even play that long. So,
well, let's hope he does. And if he does, they should have a really good offense.
Of course, it would be great to see him come back. And well, honestly, I just think they're going to be nowhere near where some of these analysts are predicting. Making the playoffs, yeah, maybe definitely higher than. I mean, they're usually a 7-9 team, and they're 8-8. I definitely see them being better than that. But to be a Super Bowl team, I just don't see that being possible. I mean, hey, their offense wasn't the issue. So Brady and Gronk, it's just kind of replacements right now. Their offense ranked 4th in points last year and 3rd in total yards. And obviously, like we said, Jameis Winston's interceptions hurt, having 30 of them on the year. But that won't obviously be as much of this year. Now, defensively, they ranked 25th in points allowed, averaging around 24.7 or more per game. But they were decent getting the quarterbacks, ranking 7th in sacks. So yeah, the Bucs, they should be better, but it all depends on if Brady is on top of his game, because we have seen him slowly deteriorate in the last couple of years. Now, last year he only passed for 24 touchdowns and that was 13th in the league, so it's not really that bad, but still managed to get just over 4,000 yards. I believe he was ranked 4th. Now, compared to 2018 Brady, he completed 5% less passes. He passed for nearly 300 less yards, and he had 5 less touchdowns, which aren't huge numbers, but his QB rating did go from 97 all the way down to 88. So some adjustments, but nothing major, but we could see it even dip further down, especially with him probably getting less reps over the offseason with COVID. So all in all, we have someone saying that this could be a Super Bowl contending team. I don't see it happening. This is not going to be a monster team. They just aren't that good. And we'll see if the defense really holds up, because they did not make enough additions to that defense to see an impact. And finally, moving into the Golden State Warriors, a team that posted a 15-50 record last season, winning just 9 conference games with the most negative point differential in the league. Now, obviously, the team battled injuries this past season, with Steph Curry missing 5 months with a broken second metacarpal in his left hand, and not seeing Klay Thompson at all with his ACL injury, and even Draymond Green, who missed a good period of games. Now, going from a team that was 3rd best in the entire league and 1st in the Western Conference the season prior, this was definitely a huge surprise for the Warriors to be so bad, yet expected, since they lost a key player like Kevin Durant and others in trades in the offseason. Now, here with us today is another one of our specialists, Nate McCary, to give us a look into what the Warriors need to do to bounce back from such a horrible season, or even just build a future. So, Nate, what should the Warriors do after an appalling 15-50 season?
Well, I think they need to focus on getting their starters healthy, with Curry, who arguably took way too much time off with his hand. A lot of people are knocking him for that. No hand injury is a 5-month injury.
Now, granted, I feel like he may have done it just because he saw the season is gone.
For sure. And then, they thought, adding D'Lo might have helped, gave him away. He's on the Timberwolves now. And we saw the true potential of Draymond Green, where he needs a supporting cast. He's not himself without the supporting cast. And I think they're going to be okay when everybody comes back. And I think, there's rumors of Giannis going there. And if Giannis ends up going there, then that's bad for Draymond, because I don't think he'll even see the starting 5 anymore. Because he's also a power forward. And I think they need to focus on the draft, but I think they also have room for a great free agency, even though the free agency is not as hyped up as last season, obviously, because last season was one of the best free agencies ever. So, but yeah, I think
Well, then, as you mentioned, the draft, because luckily for them, they have what's going to be at least a top 5 pick. Who do you see them taking in the first round, having such a high pick? Someone like James Wiseman from Memphis, Anthony Edwards from Georgia, Obi Toppin from Dayton, possibly, some people say even possibly trading that pick.
I see, if they get the pick, top 3, I think Wiseman might be a bad look because of the amount of big men they're going to be in the free agency. Even though they're not, top of the line, I just think Wiseman, stopped playing early. I don't know if you know that. He stopped mid-season. And I think knowing the Warriors, a player that would fit well there would be LaMelo Ball with his, and I know everybody hates him.
He's only projected to go maybe not even top 5.
Well, I still think with the Warriors or Anthony Edwards, but I think the way their offense is, they want to build around a shooter. They've lived by the 3 for the last 10 years roughly. I mean, give or take a few years.
And they missed both of those players. That's their entire offense.
Exactly. So I think adding another shooter, adding another shooter to the lineup is only going to help the way their offense is run. And then, like I said, if they can focus on that free agency and get somebody big, especially if they land Giannis, who is arguably the best player in the league and guaranteed a top 3 player in the league.
Sure.
If they land him, it's going to be a whole different ball game, and the West is even going to get stronger, which is crazy to even think about with how strong they are.
Yeah, and now obviously, as we said, with a healthy Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, things would look and will look much different. But luckily, the Warriors have 3 picks in this year's draft. 4 next year with 2 first-rounders, one of them which is from Minnesota, which could be a very high pick, and 3 picks in 2022. So a very bright outlook for drafting for the Warriors' future just in the next 3 seasons alone. Now, although next season might not be, what it should be for the Warriors, even with a healthy lineup, expect them to rise with incredible young talent in the next few years to come. So stay watch on the Warriors. Don't count them out despite this 15-50 season. Well, that is all we have time for today on The Point. Let us know how you feel about Dak Prescott, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady, and the Golden State Warriors on our Instagram and Twitter at @thepoint_412 or in the comments below. As always, I'm Riley Taylor. This is The Point, and we will see you on Monday.